ربنا الله ربنا الله ربنا الله ربنا الله ربنا الله ربنا الله ليس غير الله ربا للعباد.
أمة الصحراء يا شعب الخلود من سواكم حل أولا للورى أي داع قبلكم في ذا الوجود.
These four tawheeds. Tawheed is of four categories. Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, Tawheed Uluhiyyah, Tawheed Asma wa Sifat, and Tawheed Hakimiyyah. Tawheed al-Rububiyyah means Allah Ta'ala is the one and only Lord. It is quite obvious to everyone in the room that Yusuf is talking about Tawheed Asma wa Sifat in this ayah, because he's telling the people, you are not allowed to worship Allah with names and attributes which He, Allah Ta'ala, did not use to describe Himself. Tawheed Hakimiyyah means Allah Ta'ala is the only lawgiver, the only legislator. Allah has commanded that you worship none but Him. You should single out Allah for your ibadah. It's quite obvious that this branch of Tawheed is called Tawheed Ibadah.
ويكأن لم تشرقوا في الكائنات بهدى الإيمان والنهج الرشيد ونسيتم في ظلام الحادثات قمة الصحراء في العيش الرغيد.
Yoga was once practiced mainly by an occultist clique in America and Europe. Now, over 19 million Americans and millions more in Europe are actively involved in some kind of Eastern meditation. Altogether, 60 million Americans have incorporated Eastern philosophies into their worldview.
Yoga is the very heart of Hinduism.
Mm-hmm.
Yoga is in many ways the heart of Hinduism. There is no Hinduism without yoga, and there is no yoga without Hinduism.
You can't take Hinduism out of yoga.
Yoga goes all the way back to the Hindu god Shiva, who is called Yogeshwara, meaning Lord of Yoga. You find yoga being taught in several of the major Hindu scriptures. Krishna, one of the many Hindu gods, was an advocate of yoga. Yoga is also mentioned in the Gita as the main means to attaining salvation. The word means basically to yoke, union. The goal of the Hindu is to be yoked with Brahman.
What is yoga? Yoga is a Sanskrit word that means to yoke with Brahman. What it means is Atman, the individual soul. That's the goal you're trying to reach. The state of consciousness where, as the Sanskrit says, that thou art. You are God. You are Brahman. So you reach a state where you realize that Atman, the individual soul, and Brahman, the universal soul, are one and the same.
I mean, the whole idea of waking up your consciousness through arousing the serpent power within you. The idea is that the serpent lays coiled at the base of your spine, and through maneuvers, movements, asanas, you waken the psychic energy to come up through the wheels, the psychic energy, if you will, up to the third eye.
brand of yoga called dynamic meditation is a New Age combination of Hinduism and psychotherapies. This exercise, involving rigorous breathing and hyperventilation, is designed to arouse the serpent force called Kundalini, which the gurus believe lies coiled at the base of the spine.
And in mantra yoga, a word or a phrase or the name of a demon god is repeated over and over and over again to bring the individual to a vibration level that will attract that which is being chanted for, to bring about the desired effect. It's exactly what the white witches and magicians, so-called, use in the casting of their spells.
In the secret doctrine she wrote, and now it stands proven that Satan, or the red fiery dragon, the lord of phosphorus, and Lucifer, or light bearer, is in us.
Well, he's basically not only the father of modern Satanism and the most highly regarded Satanist of the last century, he is also the father of the modern New Age movement, altered states of consciousness, trying to make altered states of consciousness scientific through whether it be hallucinogens and seeing reality different, whether it was drugs, whether it was astrology or the practice of ritual magic, whether it was sex magic, whether it was his ideas of world unity through magic and so forth. All these are very popular through the 1960s and after that in ushering in what today is called the New Age movement.
According to the New Agers, Theosophists, as well as many elitists and Freemasons, there exists a group of highly evolved men and women called the Masters of Wisdom. These powerful groups claim that Buddha, Krishna, Muhammad, and Jesus were all masters of wisdom, and that a being named Maitreya is the leader of these beings, who in turn is subject to the true leader, Sanat Kumara. New Age Theosophist Dane Rudhar concedes that the leader of the Masters, Sanat Kumara, is in fact Satan, according to the esotericists. Quote, Satan is an anagram for Sanat Kumara, who in the esoteric philosophy of India is the Promethean being who gave mankind the fire of self-conscious and independent individual selfhood, unquote. Blavatsky taught her students that it is actually Satan who is God, the Messiah, and that Jehovah is the evil one. She stated, quote, It is but natural, even from the dead letter standpoint, to view Satan, the serpent of Genesis, as the real creator and benefactor, the father of spiritual mankind. N. Sri Ram, who often gave lectures at the United Nations, a major theosophist and writer for Lucifer magazine, clarifies, quote, The adversary, or Satan, is no other than Lucifer, the light bearer, the bright morning star. He is the initiator, awakening the divine faculties of intellect on man.
Modern day spiritualists, people like Shirley MacLaine and J.Z. Knight in the U.S., who have a big following, basically talk about the higher self, and learning from the higher self. And basically the message that the higher self is giving is that you are God. Shirk in Al-Asma wa Sifat, or shirk in Allah's names and attributes.
So indeed the Luciferian doctrine is fused into the New Age movement due to theosophy. Along with this doctrine is the belief that because of Satan, man is now thinking he will evolve, conquer the world, conquer nature, and become a god. The Freemason W.L. Wilmhurst bolstered the fact that Freemasonry is aimed at creating god men. The purpose of initiation is attaining godhood, he states, quote, The height of the lodge, even as high as the heavens, implies the range of consciousness possible to us. When we have developed our potentialities to the full is infinite. Man who has sprung from the earth and developed through the lower kingdoms of nature to his present rational state has yet to complete his evolution by becoming a godlike being and unifying his consciousness with the omniscient, to promote which is and always has been the sole aim and purpose of all initiation.
Over 3 successive days, beginning on April 8th, the book was channeled through Crowley while in a trance. This snake spirit begins the revelation by telling man that he is a god, by telling man that he is a god, by telling man that he is a god.
Say I and God are one. No, wait, better than that. I got the best one. This is the best one. Just say, I am God.
David, I can't say that. David, I can't say that.
See how little you think of yourself? You can't even say the words.
I am God. I am God.
A little louder, please, with maybe a little more conviction.
I am God. I am. Look, if I'm God, what does that make you?
Well, we always see in others what we see in ourselves. I am God. I am God.
I am God.
I am God.
I am God. I am God.
I am God.
I am God. I am God.
I am God. I am God. I am God.
Not you. I'm.
God only knows what you know.
When really the Spirit of God is what it really is. It's really God's presence inside of us. It's God.
We are the gods now.
And God lives inside of us. His Spirit lives inside of us. We have power because God literally is inside of us.
Every one of you is a living God wearing this human garment.
And what that means is you are all infinite creators.
Except your denial that you are God.
I wondered if back when you were involved in spirit worship, if they talked about New Age at all.
Oh yes, there was a big thing that was coming up. One of the major deceptions of the last days. Major deceptions of the last days. Major deceptions of the last days.
Jane Roberts was a New Age pioneer who channeled a spirit known as Seth. Roberts sold more than 1 million copies of her books and inspired many.
And we borrowed a Ouija board. We didn't even buy one. And after, I forget, once or twice or something, we started to get stuck on the board. And after only maybe 5 or 6, 7 sessions with that, Seth came through vocally. I would start to know what was going to be said, and then I would start to want to speak.
Okay.
Well, after the board session stopped, as they did very quickly, I just began speaking the words automatically for Seth without knowing what I was saying.
Some may find it interesting that the name Seth is synonymous with the Egyptian god Set, and in the realm of the occult, Set is one of the infernal names of Satan.
These volumes were channeled to her by a demonic spirit she called Kuthumi, and she actually traveled to Tibet, to India, and she claims that she actually went to Tibet and actually met her master there.
And I'm just telling you what she said. She said, they are Pleiadians, and they have brought you here to do something. And you are ultimately going to be a emissary, was the word, an emissary for them. They're going to channel through you. They're going to use you, and they will speak through you.
David Icke, the former footballer, television presenter and Green Party spokesman, hit the headlines when he claimed that spirit forces had chosen him to lead a campaign to save the world.
I am in contact and in communication with those at the highest levels of creation who are passing on this information. You see, you're shaking your head, my friend.
Can I ask you then, you're saying you're in contact with the highest communications. Would that be God, or...?
But the being we call the Godhead, certainly.
There are scores of rock paintings which date back far in time. This sketch represents Wandjina, the legendary goddess of the Milky Way. She too came from heaven to instruct the children of Earth, one model for these deities found on all continents, in Australia, in America, in Africa, in Europe, in Asia.
It's another piece of evidence that the ancient astronaut theorists use as proof that we were visited in the past.
This stone deity, say the Maya, represents Kukulkan, who came from the stars and returned there.
For a primitive society, the belief in God develops through contact with civilization technologically more advanced than their own. So, can we say that our current deistic religions are probably the result of contact with our ancestors and intelligent beings from space?
The more literal version is the idea that Jesus is strictly alien.
We have only recently discovered the key to our genetic structure, the twisting coils of DNA. But here is the same depiction on a Sumerian artifact from 5,000 years ago. It illustrates the process by which the Anunnaki jumped the gun on evolution and created Homo sapiens.
All the evidence suggests that human beings, as we know them, did not originate on this planet, but have come to this Earth from other planets.
We came from outer space, that we are the direct descendants of the intelligent people who landed here a long time ago.
John Michael Greer in the New Encyclopedia of the Occult notes, quote, Satan has a possible echo in theosophic lore, where the Lord of the world, the spiritual ruler of the earth, and the head of the Great White Lodge is Sanat Kumara, a lord of the flame who descended to earth from Venus in a fiery chariot some 6 million years ago, unquote. He is the king of the fallen angels, spirits from higher spheres, who descended among primitive mankind of the third race to develop in man and endow him with his self-conscious mind, or manas, unquote.
Now, is it really true, now tell me the truth, that you personally have met Jesus and Muhammad and Buddha?
Yes, this is the important part. These people,
but you've seen them with your own eyes?
Of course, and I was speaking to them like I speak to you now. They invited me to their planet in 1975, and the prophet was still alive. Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad were there, and it was just a party. It's necessary to understand these people came on the earth a very long time ago. They built big laboratories, and in these laboratories, thanks to DNA and genetic combination, they created all life on earth. In the beginning, the original Bible, you can find one very easily. It's not written the first day God did that, but the first day Elohim did that. The second day Elohim did that. And in Hebrew, Elohim means those who came from the sky.
Elohim. In Hebrew, El stands for God, Elah stands for God, Elohim is a plural form to say with all respect and reverence, plural of respect.
The messages explain our origin, how we were created scientifically in laboratories, how the prophets, so-called prophets, were just messengers like Moses talking at the top of the Mount Sinai with Elohim, with one of the Elohim, and that now it's time to understand, stop believing and start to understand. Through science we can become gods ourselves, and we can start to create life, and that we can enter a new age.
I have concluded, as has Zecharia Sitchin, that the human race has probably been seeded here by high-intelligence civilizations from other places.
Saying that Zecharia Sitchin is a member of what? The Illuminati?
Absolutely. Zecharia Sitchin is a member of the New World Order used to spread deliberate disinformation. Zecharia Sitchin met with Corrado Balducci. Who is Corrado Balducci? Corrado Balducci is not only the official spokesman for the UFO in the Vatican. You understand? This is just a front. Who is he? He's a demonologist, the biggest exorcist in the Vatican.
Right.
That should already make you think, okay, there is a connection here between the alien myth and the demonology.
main message that Seth is trying to say is that people are gods in training.
The universe. We don't have anymore to be afraid to die, because we are eternal. We are eternity. There is no God.
These demonic beings will convince those who are spiritually blinded to the truth that they were our creators, that they were our creators.
Basically, everyone in the room is going to die, except for Shaw, who has an unbreakable faith in God. Everyone gets killed except for Shaw. The engineer just stares at her as she runs away. Shaw is the only true believer in an afterlife, in other words, heaven.
It could come about in the following way. It could be that at some earlier time, somewhere in the universe, a civilization evolved by probably some kind of Darwinian means to a very, very high level of technology and designed a form of life that they seeded onto perhaps this planet. And that designer could well be a higher intelligence from elsewhere in the universe. But that higher intelligence would itself have had to have come about by some explicable or ultimately explicable process. It couldn't have just jumped into existence spontaneously.
Now, Master Mason. This is the founding father of America. You can see the one eye on his robe there. Over there is the G. And this is in the archive, National Archives. He was a Master Mason, 33rd degree.
But once you reach a certain frequency, due to evolution, you have the ability also to create beings. You have the ability also to create beings.
Infinite love, infinite consciousness. The existence of an infinite consciousness is the only truth. Everything else is illusion. It's the imagination of that consciousness made manifest. We are infinite consciousness, having an experience. There's nothing to survive. There is nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear. This is the way the Egyptians depicted Horus, and this is Jesus. The halo around the head was the way the ancients depicted that the person was a sun god. Here's the Jesus halo. Well, this is an ancient standing stone of Bel, the sun god, with a halo around his head, depicting he's a symbol of the sun. This is Mithra, another ancient son of God figure. The story that they tell of him is just the same as the one they tell of Jesus, in great detail. These is two others who are different versions of the same story. Dionysus of Greece and Bacchus of Rome. Dionysus was born, this is long before Christianity.
I don't think there's any serious historian who doubts the existence of Jesus. There are a lot of people who want to write sensational books and make a lot of money who say Jesus didn't exist, but I don't know any serious scholar who doubts the existence of Jesus, and so absolutely.
The idea that Jesus is a copycat solar deity has been propagated by the self-taught Egyptologist and practicing Druid Gerald Massey. Gerald Massey wrote for the Theosophical magazine entitled Lucifer, published by H.P. Blavatsky.
Broadly speaking, the story of Horus is as follows. Horus was born on December 25th of the Virgin Isis Mary. His birth was accompanied by a star in the east, which died on the cross, was dead for 3 days, only to be resurrected or born again.
There were actually devices that were planted in the building. The
bank is an institution that produces the currency of an entire nation. Based on historical precedent, two specific powers are inherent in
I don't believe in Satanism. If you want to use that word,
you know what Satanism
that's your own idea.
Satanism is? Atheists. People who do not believe in a God. People who believe that man is God. That's what
that's
Satanism
correct.
is.
You are God.
Okay, then you are a Satanist.
Isn't it interesting that right after Zeitgeist promoted the Aquarian New Age concepts in the first Zeitgeist film, the second film, Zeitgeist Addendum, then goes on to convince its followers to strive for a similar Aquarian one-world system, New World Order, called the Venus Project. Indeed, the solution offered by the film Zeitgeist Addendum is that humanity needs to unite into the very same thing that Theosophy and Freemasonry wants it to unite into, a one-world universal esoteric brotherhood of humanity, a New World Order. Quote, Satan is an anagram for Sanat Kumara. Quote, Satan is an anagram for Sanat Kumara.
They believe that the utopia will be one of a spiritual utopia, one that's free of wars and religion. It's easy for a lot of people to have idealistic views about it.
They're going to make it sound wonderful.
There are a lot of information in this message. For instance, they say it's time to create a world government.
But this, they believe, is the eye of God. That's what they call it, the eye of God. The all-seeing eye of God. They made God one eye. Okay? And you can see the eye is suspended above the pyramid because the Dajjal cannot come until the pyramid, the social structure is complete. The system is put in place for his coming. And the system is secularism. Because they really believe, over here it says, he's pleased with our program, with what we're doing. He's pleased with us. They believe that the age of reason had arrived, that the human beings in the founding of America as a secular state, eliminating religion from politics, was a sign that man was coming to the age of reason. The Dajjal, which when he comes at the head of a global type of government, and he travels through the earth. It's a Sahih hadith. And he said, كَرِيحٍ or كَغَيْدٍ اسْتَدْبَرَتْهُ السَّحَابِ, like a wind that leaves behind condensation. And that's, I guarantee you, it's an exact translation. Like a wind that leaves behind condensation or a cloud. And if you look at the modern, and then in another hadith, يَرْكَبُ حِمَارًا مَا بَيْنَ أُذْنَيْهِ 40 ذِرَاعًا. He rides a donkey that has 40 cubits between its ears. Right? And I had a list of wingspans and worked out that actually the Learjet is almost exactly 40 cubits.
I was there, I saw it all. Immigrants, Muslims.
What is that?
It's a copy of the Quran, 14th century.
Are you Muslim?
No, I'm in television.
But why would you keep it?
I don't have to be Muslim to find the images beautiful or its poetry moving.
But is it worth it? I mean, if they found that here...
I told you, you'd be the least of my worries.
It's gone.
I'm sorry, but Mr. Dietrich's dead. I thought they'd arrest him, but when they found a Quran in his house, they had him executed.